This is a description of the DLA Johnson job. This was Johnson Controls against a subcontractor regarding the construction of a fence around the airport infield area in Dubai, I believe. It was a construction delay case. The subcontractor was suing Johnson Controls for obstruction of their work area and or late presentation of plans that allegedly prevented the subcontractor from finishing his work on time. We built this graphic from the subcontractor's as-built drawings to help pin down what their allegations were. We didn't know it at the outset, but it turned out that the subcontractor's as-built data was full of gaps and overlaps, and we didn't know that. We couldn't see that until we looked at it in graphic form. We received a bunch of spreadsheets that illustrated or that noted the as-built conditions of what section of fence was put in on a certain day, which part of the construction was done, whether it was foundation work or fence fabric. So there were just a fairly large number of data entries that supposedly described the as-built project. And so looking at this, you can't perceive what the position of all these parts are, what part of the structure it is, or whether it forms a complete and finished project or not. So when we started building this and putting it together in a graphic form, we revealed some interesting things. So this is a general kind of Mappos deal where you can pan and zoom on the map here, and I'll zoom in closely here. You'll notice these gray outlines indicate where the fence should go, and we'll populate those with pieces as we go through this. It's a double-walled fence, and in between is sort of a no man's land where they're buried cables and communication cables and data cables and that sort of thing. But anyway, it's a double-walled fence, so there's two sets of foundations that need to go in and two sets of either chain link or welded wire, and then on top they put concertina wire. The little red numbers indicate chainage distances, which will become apparent later here. So let's take a look at the foundation. This is a timeline, interactive timeline that shows how various areas of this fence were built, and I'll drag through here a little ways and describe what we're looking at. The orange or pink areas are what we call continuous foundation, which is basically a trench with concrete poured in it and fence posts standing out of that. And then on the outside was a series of what they call single foundations, where it was just a post and concrete footer at various spaces. So we didn't draw each post and footer, we kind of represented them schematically so that you can turn off or on each area, so you can look at one at a time to help kind of determine what is happening. So the first thing we noticed is, let me drag to the end of the project, with just foundations on, I don't have a complete foundation around the fence, and you would expect that an as-built drawings, when you're done with the project, you would have a series of fence all the way around. For instance, here we've got the outside continuous or single foundations, but there's only spotty coverage of the interiors. And likewise, there are a couple of spots here where we notice we put these in transparent colors. So here's a section where there's the continuous foundation was built, and then a short time later it gets darker, which means that area was repeated in the data. So the point is that the fence was completed eventually. So what this points out is that the data that they were relying on for their allegations of obstructions was faulty. They didn't have a complete set of data that showed a complete project. So let's add some more to this. We'll back out and we'll take a look at just the fence fabric themselves. Part of it along the outside was chain link, and the part along the inside was a welded wire type of fence. So there are two different types of fencing. If we back up, here we see those going in, but at the end of the project, again, it's not complete. I've got here, data shows I had the welded wire mesh all along that area, but the chain link wasn't complete. So when you add the foundations under the fence fabric, you find all sorts of funny holes and overlaps. Here we show fence with no foundation. Here we have foundation with no fence. Here we have overlapped. So it just points out a crazy combination of gaps and holes in their data. And then over the top of everything is barbed wire and concertina wire. And we just indicated that as a wide yellow area. But again, that wasn't even recorded as completed. So there's a whole lot of information available in here that shows on any given week of the project, on a particular day, what piece of fence went in and what areas it covered. We added a little tool for the users to, if you hover over one of the colored areas in the upper right corner of the screen there, you'll see a chainage reference. So it's midfield fence, the MF, and then from chainage 200 plus 450 to 200 plus or 2 plus 556, and it's item number 116. So you can we use this as a proofing method, and then the client could also go back and look at that and make sure that the data was that we had the data correct and plotted correctly for each of those sections. So you can look up the hundreds of entries that are available here all the way through the project. So one final aspect of this was the subcontractors as-built data. So our exercise, our work of plotting an interactive map of it revealed the holes in their data. So that was one key thing that our clients found fascinating. And then secondarily, I'm going to turn all of those off here by clicking these items. The claimants, the subcontractor, had a color-coded set of diagrams that said, these are the areas we couldn't work in. For instance, here was those areas in pink were unworkable for a number of reasons. The areas in orange here were unworkable because of the alleged that Johnson Controls didn't give us plans for those areas. And then in green were other trades, other contractors that were in the way, that either had used areas for a laydown yard or had equipment parked there, variety of reasons that other contractors were in the way. So this story starts with, at the beginning of the project, we have a number of colored areas which represent the claimant's alleged delay areas, saying they couldn't work in those areas. And as the project moves forward, those areas are eventually cleared until, down here toward the end, and then the contractor can go ahead and finish his work. But those were late in coming, according to their scheme of things. So this became a and then there were some other design obstructions that were filled out the rest of their areas. So the top group here is the claimed areas that were causing the construction delays. So this became a real powerful tool that lets you look at any week of the project, basically any day of the project, and look at what the status of their delay allegations were and what the status of their as-built data was. And this gave our group a very powerful tool to shoot holes in their delay allegations. And let's look at the sheet. I don't know if this was settled or not. Stand by. Don't know. That's the story. Later.